Welcome to Escape This Podcast, a show that's a mix between tabletop role-playing and escape room puzzles. We are in Season 15, in our Guest Game Master section of Season 15. Every episode, we play through an audio escape room, and for these episodes, we are playing through escape rooms brought to us by fans of the show, hopefully, unless they listened and thought, this is the worst show ever, I could do this.
That's usually my inspiration for writing anything, so I wouldn't blame them.
Oh no, they all hate the show. A bunch of rude people trying to take over our show and steal our format. And this episode, we have David Battoe. Welcome, David, to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Where on your meter is the fan to hateful?
Yeah, do you like our show, or is it the worst thing you've ever heard?
Hateful is not even, that's not even in the same cloud of things I had thought about when, I wouldn't have listened as long as I did if I hated it.
Oh, no one's doing a hate binge of Escape This Podcast.
Look, I enjoy a good old hate listen, but you're right, hundreds of hours, that's a lot of hate.
Yeah, that's too much. You can maybe get like 20 hours out of hate. After that, you got to get some new emotions to fuel the journey. We are very excited to play through the escape room you've brought. That's going to happen soon. What I wanted to say is you have a podcast, or you're about to have a podcast. Based on when this releases, we're not 100% sure the status of your podcast, but would you like to tell people about Chronically Online Chronicles?
The sort of elevator pitch is that my co-host and we are looking at the influence of the internet on more of an individual basis. So I've heard the phrase like digital stomping grounds as like a third place taking over. So people that are maybe young millennial, elder Gen Z people that actually got to experience like the Neopets,
that was absolutely the first thing on my mind when you started talking about it.
Chilling in Neopets.
Oh yeah.
So
going to the omelette, getting a bit of omelette every day, spinning the wheel.
Wheelser.
Trying to battle and realizing I don't know how any of this works.
I have Jelly Neo pinned right now. That is the other tab besides my notes. But yeah, so we're going to bring on people that have been on the internet and just talk to them and be like, when you were a young person first experiencing dial-up on a big chunky computer, what did that look like? Where did that lead you? How has that continued to impact your life? Are you still an internet user? Obviously you are, because we're sitting here discussing it.
True. How often do you quote Homestar Runner to yourself in your head?
Oh, jeez.
Lovely. Well, look, there will be links in the show notes to either the first episode or somewhere you can go to wait for that first episode, or like the fourth episode. I don't know how quick you're going to be, but it's a really nice concept for a show, so I hope it works out really well. But this is an escape room show. So instead, I have a question to ask you, which is, what is your escape room experience?
My escape room experience is almost zero. I will say
Nice.
Back like albino black sheep days, there was a game, a flash game that was published called Escape the Room. Nice. And that was like it was point and click. It was that style where it's like the camera's in the middle of a square room and you can kind of face it 90 degrees at a time. I don't think I ever beat that, but I do remember it. And that's kind of what I associated with escape rooms a lot when they started to become popular roughly 10 years ago. And I remember hearing people talk about escape rooms and I'm like, how did this flash game that I thought I was the only person that ever knew about, how did it get this following? And then I was like, oh, that's not the right thing.
But it is true. Like a lot of people, it's like that's the origin of escape rooms, is from flash games that sort of transitioned into, I could build that. I can make a physical version. And also, 300 hours listening to our show. Dani, do you notice he listened to 300 hours of our show? Didn't say he had any escape room experience because he hates our show. He hates it, so he doesn't even think of it as real escape rooms. Yeah, we've found out.
I totally think of them as real escape rooms.
Yeah, we've seen his real true colours showing through. The other element of this show is that it is escape rooms with a sort of tabletop role-playing style. Do you have any tabletop role-playing experience?
Yes. So I started with D&D 3.5
Nice.
about 10-ish years ago, right after I graduated high school, and played that for a few sessions, and that was a little. I was disappointed that the campaign ended so abruptly, but then I was like, I feel like I could do this more if I started DMing, and so I did. And I have far more experience running and creating games than I do actually playing them. Your mileage may vary on that, I guess. But I then got to a point where I was like, well, consider the realms forgotten. I'm making my own world.
Nice.
Cool.
And so I've just completely got my own homebrew world, homebrew settings, logic, everything. And then that evolved into is like, well, I'm tired of having to look for friends to do this with, so I'm just going to make a video game. And so
Yep.
Yes.
That feels like a fair progression.
the eternal GM to Game Maker Studio pipeline is
Little
very
bit.
real.
Nice. All right. I think with that all said, we are ready to start the room. I don't think there's anything we should need to know before we get in there. I think you should be able to just go straight in.
The only thing I'll preface with is you have the option of whether you are one person being controlled by two people or you're two people that had the same thing happen. It's completely up for grabs.
Right. Dani, let's be 3 people.
Oh, good
Let's
gracious.
be you, let's be me, and let's be
Timmy.
let's be a dog called Timmy.
Oh.
Timmy the dog.
Well, okay. All right. That's a famous. Okay. Yep.
You don't want a famous 3? We can be the famous 3.
Okay. We're the famous 3.
We're the famous 3. I hope this is set in a smuggler's cave, or I don't know what I'm going to do.
Bringing a dog is going to be OP because we all know that smelling is the most powerful ability
Don't
in
worry,
fiction.
we'll never mention the dog ever again. But everyone at home, remember he's there.
You are in a college level geometry class, and it's the end of the semester.
Oh, this dog's not going to help at all.
Unless you
Dogs
have...
can't do geometry. Why did we bring a dog? We could have brought a professor with us. Why did they even let the dog in here?
Service animal, duh.
He helps me with
To be
math.
fair,
He's a
we
math
do
dog.
sometimes put Billy's glasses on our dog and call him Professor
He
Pup.
does look like a little professor. That is true. Okay, we're in geometry.
You're in a college level geometry class, and it's the end of the semester. You've done well enough in classes, but spent perhaps a few too many all-nighters cramming as you led into this finals week. The geometry final is your final of the semester, so, as long as you got this, you're done. You go home for break or whatever and wait for next semester. But the professor for this class is one of those weirdos that makes you stay for the entire exam period, even if you finish early.
I'm an adult. I'm in university, sir. I'm getting up and walking out. I'm an adult. Okay, no, we'll wait.
No big deal. You'll take a quick nap, you figure, after turning your test in. You're confident that you did at least above average, though your quick nap suddenly feels suspiciously restful. You wake up to an empty classroom. The class must have neglected to wake you up. And that was the last final on campus. Oh, awesome. You slept so long that your phone died. You got to get the heck out of here if you don't want to spend your entire break in the math and computer science building. In the center of the room, there are, of course, some desks. You were just asleep at one. The southeast corner along the east wall, this is the door to the hallway. This door has one of those standard issue school, taller than it is wide rectangular windows with the wiry pattern in the middle. And then to one side of the door to the hallway is an analog clock. It's roughly head height. On the east wall proper, we have a whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
The northeast corner, this is where the professor's desk is, with some assorted professor accoutrement on the desk.
Professors love their accoutrement.
Behind the desk on the north wall is a poster. And then closer to like the center of the north wall proper is another bigger whiteboard. And then on the west wall is another poster.
Ugh, they love posters.
It's posters and accoutrement all the way down. That is all that is available to you.
Okay. Dani,
Mhm.
I would like you to lead the way.
We need to get out of here. I don't even know if the door's locked yet.
Oh, yeah, let's just go.
Yeah, let's go. We go.
We go to the door.
You go straight for that door, and it's not locked. It would be insane if it was locked. You'd be locked in this room. This opens up directly to the hallway. So to your relative left, but to the north globally, there it is. That's the exit to the building, that is.
Oh,
Lovely.
great.
And then directly straight ahead, so this would be the global east, is the door to another classroom.
Okay.
Well, I assume our good luck's going to hold. Let's go to the exit.
Yeah, we go to the north door and we leave.
Alas, looking closer, you can see that the door is protected by none other than some sort of security system. Does it open in its locked state? If it did, would you get in some sort of trouble with campus authorities for being in the building after hours? You figure probably better not to risk it. It does have one of those keypads with the 0 through 9 and an enter button.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's a dead end as of now.
How about the other door?
Yeah,
the
I was
east
going to say,
door?
do you want to go back to our classroom or
No,
check
no,
out this
no.
other classroom?
Let's see what we've got in here. This is the smaller room for the moment, this hallway. It's less intimidating.
All right, we'll check out the final door to the east.
So the other classroom, in the center of this room is a 2x2 set of cubicles, each with one of those generic sort of desktop school computers. The east wall, oh look, another whiteboard.
Lovely.
The northeast corner has another desk in it. The north wall has a single desk with a lone laptop. The west wall has a slightly larger desk with two older looking computers on it.
7 computers so far.
The southwest corner of the room is the door that you came through.
Yeah.
The south wall in this room has a very stylish Hello Kitty poster with biographical information about Hello Kitty.
Is this room walk-inable, or are we just observing through its door window?
Yeah, you walked right in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This is too much power.
All right, Dani, we have a large list of things that are observable.
Oh, man.
And it seems like our one major goal is to find the code on the keypad that gets us out through the main door safely without setting off any security alarms.
Sure.
Where do you want to start looking? There's a million things. I think we go back to our first room,
Okay.
room A, and start to dig around there.
All right, that's fair. Computers. Yeah,
Computers are too
that's a lot.
computational.
There's a lot of stuff going on
Who
there.
knows what's going on?
All right, let's
These
go
4
back to our
computers are probably
technology-free room where the scariest thing is the clock.
Exactly. Shall we look
What
at the
time?
clock?
Yeah, what time is it, by the way?
Let's
Let's look
have
at
a
that
look
clock.
at the clock in the first room.
What time is the clock is a wonderful question that you should be asking. So, the clock is an analog clock. It's about head height. It appears to be, well, I mean, you've got the image. You can tell me what time it is.
For people at home, you can see this image in the show notes, but it is a clock. I don't know what to tell you. It's a clock that says 10 past 10. 10 past 10. It's
10 plus 10?
10 past 10.
Oh.
The time that it is. I'm not crazy. The long hand, for people who are too young, that means that the short, fat hand is pointing to the 10, and the long, thin hand is pointing at the 2, thus making 10 minutes past 10.
This is one of those popular times for ads, isn't it?
10:10
This
is a
what people
classic.
have on their Rolex ads.
Is it 10:13? Oh, no,
It
10
might have
there's
been
some weird
something
thing.
slightly
There was a lateral
adjusted.
question about that, too.
Yeah. But this is currently 10:10.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether that's morning or evening. Either way, that's going to upset me.
Yeah. There's nothing else to me that is like noteworthy about the clock. The color is, it's got a brown sort of
It's not Roman
slight
numerals.
gradient clock circle.
Yeah,
They are
it's a
num-
normal.
yeah.
It's a clock.
They are alpha. They're Arabic numerals, not Roman numerals.
I assume that 1010 is not our answer.
Yeah.
You at least have the awareness that 1010 does not reflect the current time.
Okay. But we don't know what the current time is because our phone is dead.
Correct.
Is the clock going?
It is not.
Okay. All right. Should we keep looking? I am interested in the whiteboards and posters.
Dani, just let's go as quick as we can. There's so much to look at.
Let's go to the northeast smaller whiteboard.
Nice.
The board seems to hold some leftover notes from a geometry lesson about angles. It says that an angle bisector is the middle of an angle, that it cuts that angle perfectly in half. So if you're trying to split a piece of cake with your sibling, you know that you both got the same piece of cake. There's a diagram shown if you need a visual for what that looks like. It's not entirely necessary, but I do have it made.
Couldn't hurt.
Lovely. Look, for people who want to see an angle be bisected, there's a link in the show notes below.
This board also has on it the following symbols in this order. Asterisk, plus, the little percentage sign, like if you were to hit shift and 5 at the same time.
Yep.
/, square root of -1, and a hyphen.
Now, all I know is that the square root of -1 is I.
That is I. I don't know how much you're supposed to know that for this one.
No,
Maybe that's
I'm not going to apply these to anything yet.
How much
And
does that come up in geometry normally?
Square root of -1?
Yeah, is that...
In college
I'm
level
not
and university level,
surprised.
that's when you start to map geometrically complex numbers. So you'll have an A and a B, like you'll have two planes, and you basically use 3D geometry to map complex numbers coming out of a number plane.
Fair enough.
So yes, I think it does become relevant for university level geometry.
Yeah.
This room should require almost no actual mathematics.
I would think
We
not.
figured. But that being said, that's an awful lot of mathematical symbols going on there.
That is true. That's
Like,
times.
asterisk is old-fashioned times.
I don't know if
plus
it's
is
old
plus.
fashioned. I feel like it's new fashioned times for when you don't want to put an X on your keyboard, so you type the asterisk. I think it's new fashioned.
You know what? That's interesting. I always consider it old-fashioned because children don't know it.
That's because children don't know new things anymore.
That's curious.
It's because they're all slaves to the Apple architecture. Yeah, they are all mathematical operators, except for square root of -1.
Teacher's desk might have some info about getting out of building.
Yeah,
they often have to do that.
Let us check the accoutrement and desk itself.
This is Dr. Edwards' desk. You know this because there's a name tag on the desk that says so. Apparently, his first name is Luke. There's also a multicolored puzzle cube, also known as a Rubik's Cube.
But we know
trademark
that he's
stuff.
gone off-brand.
Yes. The desk has one drawer, but it's locked. And an anime video game figure.
Which one?
Crocodile from One Piece.
This might be a discrepancy between you as a player and the character that you're controlling.
Okay.
You're not familiar with this character, but it's well designed. The paint and sculpt look nice. The base plate that the character sits on reads Sora. I have an image to go with this as well.
Now, are we going to get a
There
Digimon
are so many
Sora?
Soras.
Are we going to get a Kingdom Hearts Sora? Are we going to get an unrelated person called Sora that I don't know? Nope, that's Kingdom
the
Hearts
that we
Sora.
know. Okay. Now, I can't help but notice, as someone who is oh so unfamiliar with whatever franchise this character might be from, oh wow, he's holding a key. Does that key come off and unlock a desk?
Oh yeah, can we steal the key from his hand? Is it a real key?
Yeah, you can. It's a real key. You can take it right away.
That's a
out
great
of his
idea.
hands.
That's cool. All right, give me that key, Sora. Get out of here.
Yoink, add it to your inventory.
We got a drawer here. It's locked. I haven't even asked if it's locked by a key lock. But let's try it anyway. Does this key open the desk drawer?
It does. The desk has one drawer that's labeled geometry, which is locked with a small key. Spoiler alert, you already have the key to that.
Woohoo! Let's open it. More geometry. I'm not done.
You open the drawer, and inside is a flash drive.
We've got to use the computers.
We'll get to them eventually.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
pocket this USB. We haven't looked at that Rubik's Cube. Is it more notable than just being a Rubik's Cube? Is there anything secret on it, or is it a classic cube?
It's classic red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and white. The cube is scrambled, though. You've never studied how to solve them. Upon further inspection, it sounds like there might be something inside the cube.
Whew.
Nice. Now, I don't know whether this is we should try and solve the cube to get whatever's inside, or whether we smash this cube.
No, my pride won't allow me to do that.
All right, we'll
now.
smash the cube if we hit a wall later.
Yeah, but we're gonna get on the computers at some point.
Yeah, they'll be like, how to unscramble cube.
That's how I learned to do it.
That's how everyone learns to do it. Anyone who's like, I've solved a Rubik's Cube, is like, yeah, you looked up how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Nice work. Sorry, everyone who loves cubing.
Okay, shall we finish off this upper right corner with the poster that's behind the desk?
Let's look at the poster that's on his desk.
Oh, well, actually, first of all,
Oh, yeah.
the standard, just because we don't know how this works, get on the floor, crawl around, look at the underside of the desk, look at his underside of his chair, just to make sure that we haven't missed anything.
Oh, yeah, do a rummage.
Is there anything hidden?
The rummaging comes up negative.
Fantastic. In that case, we move on to this poster.
The poster behind the desk, you recognize this as a Doctor Who poster with several different actors on which who have played the Doctor at some point, as well as a phone booth. The text reads, "Many faces, one TARDIS," and you've caught enough episodes of the show either casually or through osmosis, absorbed from the cultural zeitgeist, that this phone box is known as the TARDIS, and incoming is another image.
Oh, lovely. People at home can see this image.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, look, it's many faces, same TARDIS. It is a bunch of it's all the Doctors, presumably, kind of in a
Starts
big
at the first one and
curl
ends at the current one.
around the TARDIS. Danny, I don't know how many of these I could name.
Oh, I can't put names to their faces.
We've
I
got
can name more
Hartnell.
than I can face.
There's Hartnell at the start, first
Sure.
Doctor. Then, when do we get, like, Pertwee and all those people?
I don't...
I'm terrible at
can't
these
face
early
them.
Doctors.
We got two Bakers somewhere.
Yeah,
like,
there's a Tom Baker.
I don't know
think
if
that's
both
a
Bakers are here.
Colin Baker, I think, was seventh right before the movie, and
Ah.
then Tom Baker is the fourth. I think that's true.
Paul McGann?
Paul McGann is the eighth Doctor. That's him after.
We're just having fun.
Then the new ones I can
Oh,
name all of those.
Because it's not relevant to the puzzle, I can name them in order. It's you were correct. Hartnell, William Hartnell, and then Patrick Troughton is the second
Wow, I
one.
would never have remembered that one.
And then it's the
John Pertwee is the third one.
Pertwee
You're
is the
correct.
third,
Tom
nice.
Tom Baker is four.
Sure.
nice.
Peter Davidson, which gets really confusing because there's a modern actor named like Pete Davison.
That's true.
Or
Yeah,
something.
true.
And then Colin Baker, you were right about two Bakers, but then Sylvester McCoy is seven.
Sylvester McCoy.
I knew there was
the
another
little
Mick.
hat.
Oh, that's
He's
embarrassing.
the little hat. Sylvester McCoy. Okay. And then it's Paul McGann. Then it's Eccleston. Then it's David Tennant. Then it's Matt Smith. Then it's in the thick of it. Then it's
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi. Then it's Jodie Whittaker. And then it's Ncuti Gatwa.
And yeah, I could have included Joe Martin. I could have included David Tennant a second time.
John Hurt gets in
Yep.
there. War Doctor.
Oh, geez, Louise.
Could have thrown in a bit of the old
All
War
sorts
Doctor.
of things. But no, we've got them. They make sense. They're in a nice little curve.
But I don't know what to do about this.
No,
So
we're still learning.
I'm pocketing the poster.
Yep. Well,
Mentally. I'm leaving it on the wall, but mentally I'm pocketing the
Mhm.
poster. And I'm moving on. Let's look
Big
at the large
whiteboard?
whiteboard.
The North Wall whiteboard. So this board has something written on it about measurements and angles. It reads exactly, "The key to geometry is knowing measurements or angles." It would seem that the professor ran into some trouble with the dry erase markers in the middle of the phrase measurements or angles. It's written in blue. Before then, I guess they had trouble with that marker as well, and then switched back to a different marker. And there is another image for you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the key to geometry is measurements or angles. Oh, and this is where the measurements or angles, the blue
The
spells out
words fit
Sora,
together.
You have
and that's a key to a thing we've already solved. So I cross it off. Get out of here, big board. I don't need you anymore. I throw the big board in the garbage.
I wouldn't do that yet if I were you, because in the corner of this board is listed the times of different courses that all take place in this classroom.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, fun.
So the first of which is Pre-Calculus 1, and that starts at 9:05 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, there's some sort
There's
of
a
little background
rattling?
rattly thing on.
Is that
your
on?
end.
That's probably on my end because Americans like to blow stuff up around the country's birthday.
Ah, that's fair. I'm happy. It's all
the
right.
sound of fireworks? Oh
funny.
my god.
For us, it's just. Blip, 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 blip. It's perfectly fine.
Anyway, the second of which is Pre-Calculus 2, which begins from 10:50 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The third and final class that apparently takes place in this classroom is Geometry, which starts at 10:10 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Ah.
And then written beneath all of those is an inspirational phrase: take time to reflect on your coursework each day.
All right. Well, yeah, that 10:10 is certainly sticking out to me a little bit.
Because that's our current time and it's geometry.
It is. Reflect.
Problem is, if you reflect 10:10, it's 10:10.
Oh, no. Okay.
I don't know what to do about this. This is a little key, but I wouldn't have known what to do about Sora if I hadn't seen a statue. So I think we keep looking around.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Shall we check the final wall thing in this room, which is the last
The west poster?
the western poster?
Yeah, let's check the west poster. Let's get everything.
So this wall is a poster that displays the square roots of numbers going from -1 all the way through +5, which is slightly less useful than if it were the perfect squares. This is the other way around.
Yeah, lovely. And so that does show us square root -1 is I.
Good to know.
And then 0, then 1, then 1.41, then 1.73, then 2, then 2.24.
That's handy. I wouldn't have been able to do root 2 and root 3 to 2 decimal places in my head.
That's fair. The final stuff to look at in this room in particular is
The
all about
massive
desks and stuff.
desks
Is there anything
themselves.
noteworthy about the desks in the center of the room?
Quick glance at desks.
So my description, there are some desks in the middle of the room. No, there's nothing. You could search all of them, look under them, you'll find some fossilized gum.
They're more there
Right.
for the realism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the room needs
Gotcha.
desks.
The
Beautiful.
room needed to have desks in them.
Yep.
Okay, well, we've got some things solved, some things not. We have a USB. We've got a lot of little, we know how to bisect an angle, or we know what that means.
Yeah.
We have a Rubik's Cube that rattles, a rattle cube. No need to break it open yet. I think we head into the second room.
It feels like we look at the computers. Out of all these computers, I would assume, my instinct is to go for the laptop.
I would like to go for the laptop too. We're not going to worry about the USB drive yet, but let's go up to the desk with the old laptop
Check
on
it out.
So the single laptop, the lonely laptop, this laptop has the name Chris on like a sticker that this computer belongs to the institution of some sort. It is password locked.
Makes sense.
This is someone's laptop that they are using for institutional purposes.
But it's on, and that's all that counts.
Wonderful. But we don't have Chris's password, so we'll keep looking around till we do. Unless it's Christopher Eccleston. In
Interesting.
which case, his password is 9999999.
So if you do try a bunch of nines in a row, that's not correct. But it
Good.
does bring up the password hint if you want.
Hey.
Oh, beautiful. What's the PH?
So the password hint is wavelength. It's the word wavelength, false positive, 3.14 ellipsis, torque, as in turning force.
As in Torquemada? Yep, go on. Who's
What's
Torquemada?
that?
Who the hell is Torquemada?
I have
That's
no
someone.
idea.
That's someone. Wouldn't have
Ah.
Googled Torquemada. Tomas de Torquemada, the
a
friar?
friar? Just a famous friar
A famous Castilian Dominican friar?
from 800 years
Oh,
ago?
he was the first Grand Inquisitor of the Tribunal of the Holy Office.
Oh, well, in that case.
What was Torquemada famous for? Extreme devotion to his cause and loyalty to his patrons.
Weren't you
He had an
famous for-
organization of ecclesiastical courts which imprisoned, tortured, and burned
He's
suspected non-believers
Castilian.
at the stake. It is estimated that at least 2,000 died in Spain during
Sorry,
his tenure.
Castilian Dominican?
He was the Spanish Inquisition. He was
Sure.
the
Nobody
Inquisition.
expects it.
Exactly. He's the first Grand Inquisitor of Spain. Everyone knows Torquemada.
Good gravy.
I can't believe this guy loves Torquemada so much and make him part of his laptop
So we
password.
were up to talk.
Yep.
Torque, and then the next one is O, but not just the letter like OH as in like oh.
OH, okay.
And then you have a second instance of 3.14 ellipsis.
That's weird.
So we know that 3.14 you could substitute in pi, right?
Yeah.
Pi. And torque probably has like a unit measure or something.
Yeah,
or some,
I think
like,
we
thing
need
that
to find
represents
units
torque.
of measurement here, because like wavelength, I'm sure it's got
Like
some
number of screens
thing associated with it.
Non-Catholics.
Yeah, but this one does hit into too many areas that I don't know.
Yeah, true. But so we've got that as his password hint. We'll find some more definitions of those terms, I suppose.
Fingers crossed.
Would you like to, before we investigate any other computers, just check out the desk that's in this room?
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
So you are looking at the desk in the computer lab room?
Yes,
Yeah.
the northeast one.
So this is Dr. Becca Story's desk. There's not a desktop computer associated with this classroom. You figure that probably makes sense since it's a computer science classroom. Whoever teaches in here probably has their own laptop that they bring to every session.
Okay. Is there anything else on the desk? Does this one have any locked drawers or anything like that?
The desk has 2 drawers. One is locked, the other is unlocked.
Ooh.
I feel I know which one we should go for.
Let's go for the locked drawer. Ah, well.
Let's go for the unlocked drawer.
The unlocked drawer, it has a keyboard and mouse pair, but they're not USB keyboard and mouse. They're the old green and purple style PS2 keyboard and mouse.
Keyboard, mouse, old.
It's been so long since I've had a non-USB or wireless one. I have legitimately forgotten how I should draw their cables.
Little circular, socket plug things, right?
It's like a miniature XLR, like what you'd use on a microphone is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like these guys.
Man. Oh, that's been a while.
I'm surprised because your father still has all of those set up on every computer.
I
that he owns.
know. And I roll my eyes at them.
And they roll their rollerball at you. So, is the locked drawer the same as? Do we need a key for the locked drawer?
It is also keyed, yes.
Nice. And I'm assuming Sora's key does not work.
Correct. There's one more thing about this desk.
Ooh, what is it?
There's also a basket of unmarked USB flash/thumb drives. This you figure is probably where students like turn in their work. So they're not using online, whatever to Dropbox. They're doing an assignment, putting it on their flash drive, and then turning it into the professor. From the looks of it, several students have neglected to retrieve them before heading home for whatever break this is.
Interesting. And intimidating. One USB drive was something. Multiple USB drives is scary.
That is scary. But
Okay.
basket of drives.
Yeah, we'll acknowledge it and not touch them for the moment.
Yeah, we'll leave them for a sec. Let's have a look at that eastern wall whiteboard in this second room.
The whiteboard in this class lists some students missing assignments for different classes.
Ooh.
There are students from 2 classes listed that have missing work. One is some sort of coding, design, implementation class. The other one is a networking class. There is a John P. who is missing A3 and A2.
Ooh,
This is
okay.
interesting.
There is a Patrick T. who is only missing A2. And a Catherine T. who is missing A2.
This is so
Catherine
suspicious, but I'm
Tate.
still not interesting.
Okay. And there's those. That's it for the coding class?
Yes. From the networking class, Kay Gillian is missing A5 and A3. Kay Tate is missing A5 and A8. And then an S. McCoy is missing A3.
Okay. So these are clearly all doctor-related things. We've got Karen Gillan as being a doctor's companion, Amy Pond. We've got Catherine Tate being a doctor's companion, Donna Noble.
Right, you are correct to have identified that that's the origins of these names. Those are Easter eggs because I was lazy.
Of course.
Great.
I figured.
So if you're looking at these A5s, A3s, like my first thought is I ignore any of the A's and I look at like the letters to see if they spell something. Does like H-O-A-A.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't work with Kate. Don't have 8.
No, don't have 8. Great. That's a great way of knowing that we shouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. We started seeing A8s and I started going, oh, cool, like chessboard or battleship. But then they were all A, and that has thrown me. I don't know what to do with this. We've got the word coding written in front of us. Oh.
You figure that the A probably stands for assignment.
That makes sense.
Okay, we have in this room still this 2x2 cubicle of computers and 2 more computers on an old desk in the corner.
Yep.
Now, we just found an old keyboard and an old mouse.
Ooh,
maybe we go to the old
oldies.
computers. So can we check out those 2 old computers on the western wall?
The 2 old computers, inspecting these, one of them is like a 90s era PC, complete with the big chunky monitor that a cat could actually sit on, and no obvious USB ports, but it does have a purple and green slot labeled PS2.
Nice.
Oh,
well, but we'll plug something in a second, but let's look at the other one.
The other one of those is one of those super cool Apple Macintosh computers with the translucent colored back so that you can see the guts.
Good old early mid-2000s.
Okay, so we've got a cool Mac and a 98 PC. And we have something we can plug into the PC.
Yeah, let's
so let's
plug
do that.
stuff in.
Let's do an action that we can do. I plug in our keyboard mouse combo.
That's a pretty good old computer,
That's
isn't
a perfect old computer.
So you plug in the keyboard and mouse to the older PC, you wake it up. It doesn't appear to be connected to the network the same way that you suppose the other ones in the room probably are. It has a couple of programs on the desktop, nothing that really catches your eye at the moment. It seems that maybe the computer science department just has these on display as like here is computer history for you.
So nothing noteworthy.
Oh,
Maybe
man. So none of them is like Rubik's Cube Solver 2.0.
Is there Rubik's Cube Solver 1.5?
Well, actually, it's just got the code to get out of the building. No, I'm just kidding. No Rubik's Cube Solver.
What about can we interact in any way with the Apple Macintosh computer?
You can jiggle the mouse, the screen comes up, and it's kind of the same story as the PC, except this one does have a network connection of some sort.
Ooh.
You can see the little whatever symbol that computer would have for being network connected.
Okay. What does that mean?
Means we can look up Rubik's Cubes.
Can I Google
I don't know if
Rubik's
network
Cubes?
connected and internet connected get to be
Can I open up
synonymous.
Netscape Navigator? I don't know what Mac used back then.
Would it have been Safari that far back?
Maybe.
It wasn't that long ago.
The network connection is strictly LAN.
Yeah.
You could discover this computer on the network, but
The computers in my high school computer room could chat with each other. They were connected through their network. If you knew the right combination of buttons, you could just send "help me" to someone else in the room.
Nice. I think we should look at the final thing that we need to look at.
And then we can know that
puzzle
we
out
are
what
in
the heck
full
is
solve
happening.
mode.
That's when we can start asking for hints.
Sure.
So there's this bank of the 2x2 computers in the middle. Can we interact with those in any way?
Same story as the Mac. You can jiggle the mouse and the screen warms up. It turns on. It prompts you for a university username and password. Presumably you have one of those. You know what it is because it's yours. You've had to log onto the computers to register for classes, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not a puzzle element. You can just use these computers.
Nice.
I will say there is one thing that you could observe further that I think you left a little cold.
Can we?
Interesting.
Okay.
You didn't. I did wonder about like checking doors and things further.
Yeah, can we look closer at the door?
There are plenty of doors
in
that
and
we
all
may
the-
have
All
ignored.
the sides of all the doors.
So yeah, classic ETP procedure. The door that you came through to get into the computer lab has one of those magnetic "don't look in our window" strips. And if you fiddle with that a little bit further, you find none other than a small key.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Okay, so we've got our key. Let's go and open that.
Presumably
hidden
for the
drawer.
desk.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let's open Becca Story's desk drawer.
The Gastrory's desk.
You open the other drawer with the key that you found on the back of the door that you came through. And this one has an external hard drive, still another USB storage device of some sort. But you know it's the professor's because it has her initials on it. So now you have another USB-based storage thingamajig in your inventory.
All right, so I guess using USBs is our current step because
Yeah,
we've got a
so-
couple, and then there's a collection on the table as well. But
Let's
probably won't
ignore
worry about
those.
that.
So we have Dr. Edwards' USB and we have Dr. Becker's USB.
Okay.
So I'm assuming one of the computers that we can use has a USB drive, or do we need to get into the laptop?
Yeah, it's those standard
Right.
upright Dells that has the two right on the front.
Okay.
Wonderful. Let's
Put them both in at once.
but let's check Dr. Luke Edwards first, right?
Yep. It'll
Or do
either
we
help
got
us
him?
get out of here or give them a terrible virus in revenge.
So it has a number of files that are labeled notes and then some suffix so that he knows what the notes are about. One of which is notes about a thing called the modulus function.
Ooh, okay. What is the modulus function about?
You open the notes and read the file, and it says that this, you skim a little bit, and it says this is sometimes used in computer science represented by the percentage symbol, and its return value is the remainder of a division problem.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you did 4 modulo 3, the value that would give you is 1.
Okay.
Okay.
It also has other notes on it, and I will plop some more links in the thing for you.
Okay, so that was associated with the percentage symbol. This is handy. We're getting pieces.
So I've dropped 2. The other 2 are notes about Greek symbols and their usage in science and mathematics.
Oh, fantastic.
And the other one is a lookup table between the Greek symbol and how you might use that as an alphabet.
Lovely.
Okay. So, if I look at these Greek symbols, we have alpha represents the false positive rate
Oh,
in
okay.
statistics.
That's nice.
So, false positive in that person's password could be alpha.
Okay.
We know that beta represents the thermodynamic beta,
Who needs
which is not
that?
helpful, I think.
Especially
R.
fluid
Oh, what
dynamics.
letter is that, Danny?
Is that a capital gamma? I'm bad at my capitals.
That's a capital gamma.
Okay.
You are correct.
Yes.
The circulation in fluid dynamics.
I'm Duolingo in Greek and have been for a while, but my capital letters are weak.
Delta represents a finite difference or a difference operator.
Yeah, sure.
Kappa
Kappa, I have not used before.
represents the kappa number.
Indicating lignin content in pulp? That is so
Ridiculous.
very specific.
Is this a small kappa?
Definitely small.
Well, it's irrelevant. But here we have lambda representing one wavelength of
Oh.
electromagnetic radiation.
Oh, okay.
So for wavelength, we can put lambda.
And then we've got pi.
Then we have pi,
we get
represents
pi.
pi. We know pi.
Then we get little one. Is that a row?
Rho, yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
R. Is R row?
Yeah, it's a rho.
Great.
Rho represents analytical number theory, radius. Nothing interesting, I think. Aha.
Oh, T.
T.
Tau.
Tau.
Again, I'm not something I have to do. Tau.
Little tau represents torque.
We
So
need talk.
Can be tau.
Oh, come on. Are you writing these out? Have you been writing these in relation to Chris's laptop password?
Lambda, alpha, pi, tau.
Yeah.
What is that? Oh, it just says laptop.
His password
Lambda
is
is
laptop.
Yeah, his password is laptop because then ohm represents ohm. Oh, well, he just said OH, but this is OH.
It's a long O. Omega.
I see. Great. So we have laptop as his password.
Yeah.
Lambda, alpha, pi, tau, pi.
All right. We sigh. We go to the laptop and we type in laptop.
Yes, laptop is cleverly, that is his laptop password. So Chris's laptop has 2 programs readily available on the desktop, one of which is a program, the icon just says JNES. The other looks like if you had a stack of books and then had them locked with some sort of strange, like a belt. In real life, you would know this as like WinZip or something like that.
That program scares me.
What is JNES in this context? Can we click it and see what it is?
Sounds like a NES emulator.
Yeah, it does.
You are correct. You open it and it's an NES emulator. Chris is playing his legal backups, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't have a ROM directory or anything associated with it right now.
All right, then what's in the zipped? Well, there's a WinZippy folder. Can we do anything about that?
Presumably some locked games that need to be
You can
unpacked.
You can open it. There's not a zip archive or anything.
There's nothing to
for
unzip.
it to do. Right, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So perhaps those USBs that are in the bucket on the table, are they labeled with people's names?
Nothing.
In the original description, it says they are unmarked. That is a bit of a misnomer. They do have markings on them, but they're just numbers. So you suppose this is a way for the data to remain anonymous between students, but the professor could say, like, this person is number 800 or whatever. So there are 6 flash drives here. The first one is 005. The second one is 970. The third one is 966. The fourth one is 006. The fifth one is 010. And the final one is 987.
That's a lot of numbers, but I don't know how to interpret them.
They're like very paired in their way. Like
like a 5 and a 6.
Yeah, we've got 005, 006, 010. And then we've got 970, 966, 987.
It's like a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they relate to these 6 people who are in the classes who are missing assignments on the whiteboards.
That is fair.
There are 6 of them separated into 2 separate classes.
That's interesting. But then they're missing their assignments. And
we found them.
Gotcha. Oh, man. Okay. We have a decent amount of stuff right now. Which USB did we put in?
That was Dr. Edwards' USB. We haven't put in Dr. Becca Story's USB.
All right, maybe we should give that a try.
Yeah, let's look at Story's USB.
Is there a particular computer you're using to look at this one?
You know what? In case it has something that we want to zip now, why don't we look at it on the new laptop?
Okay.
On Chris's laptop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You plug the external drive into Chris's laptop. You can't see any of the folders. It is pin protected.
Yeah.
Pin protected. What's Becca's pin?
Yeah, hold on. My notes are messy. Have we had any good notes associated with
No,
that?
she's had the keyboard and mouse on that old computer. Can we search the old computer for any pin-related stuff for Dr. Becca's Story?
You search, you poke around in the few file directories that are on that older computer, the PC. You don't see anything that catches your eye.
Now, maybe she hit her pin with the security of needing the keyboard and mouse.
Fair.
So many
Lots of things that we haven't really used yet. Which ones to look at? Like we've still got the take time to reflect on.
Yep, haven't done that. Haven't done anything about the
TARDIS
classes
stuff.
and their times or the TARDIS poster. We haven't done anything about those stuff on the whiteboard, the symbols and the angle.
Yeah, we haven't bisected anything yet.
We haven't opened the Rubik's Cube. We haven't done anything about this NES emulator. We haven't done anything with those USB drives. We haven't looked at... Actually, okay, let's put all those USB... Let's just have a look at what's on those USB drives.
Oh, you want to... Okay.
Let's just stick them into the computer and have a look at drives 5, 970, 966, etc., etc.
Okay.
Let's just see... Maybe, we don't even know what's
Give
on
them a
them. We can
skim.
find out what's on them. Can we look at... I mean, just in order... In the order you read them out, can we look at them on the computer? So starting with 005.
You look at flash drive number 5, and all it has on it is a zipped folder called My Stuff.
Okay, so zip stuff. So if we go to the laptop, let's unzip their My Stuff folder.
Sure.
You unzip the folder, and all that it has inside is Tetris.NES.
Tetris.
Okay. All right, we save that to this laptop so that we can play it on the NES emulator in a second. But let's check out what is on 970.
970 has a file labeled A3 and a file labeled A2.
Let's look at the next one, which is
966.
966.
This one has a 5 only.
Okay.
Do you want 006?
Yeah.
This one has a 5 and A3.
Okay, 010.
This one has only A3.
And finally,
Yeah, and 987.
This one has A3 and A8.
Interesting. Well, let's play Tetris.
Yeah, I guess we've got to refresh our minds by playing some Tetris.
So we break open Tetris. You play a reasonably good game of Tetris, and you find yourself amongst the high scoreboard.
Nice.
What initials do you want to put with your score?
ASS.
Ha ha ha. So the high scoreboard now reads as follows: DLE with a score of 9999, DBS with a score of 9265, ALP with a score of 8595. The fourth one is ASS with a score of 6248. That's you. And the fifth one, CEH with 2516.
What the heck do we do about this?
Well, if they include Doctor, we've got some names like Dr. Luke Edwards, Dr. Becca Story. Hoping that
So that might be her pin, 9265. Let's
that's
try
my
that out.
hope.
We get rid of Tetris.nes. We break the USB over our tiny, tiny knee. And we go back to Becca's Stories USB. And we put in for the pin number 9265.
So you enter 9265 as the pin on the professor's external hard drive, and it is unlocked.
yes.
Good catch.
This drive has on it a syllabus for the networking and the coding classes for you to be able to link names to assignment numbers.
Ah.
Okay. So in the coding class, like what is assignment A2 in the coding class?
That is an assignment talking about a null operator.
Null operators.
And then because that was everyone in coding class was either missing A2 or A3.
Nobody liked null operators.
What was A3?
Yeah, so A3 in this case is about text entry and like data submission from given text.
That feels like a bit of a silly one to not submit.
I was hoping that would be more helpful than it was. I don't know what to. Now I know that John P. didn't do data entry, or text entry, or null operator assignments.
Maybe.
And then the other two didn't do their null operator assignments. I don't know what this means.
Let's take. What about the networking one?
Yeah, okay. In the networking class, what was A3 in networking?
So A3 in the networking class talks about a way for you to find the IPs of other computers on your local network using IP lookup.
Nice.
Okay.
A5?
A5 is about something called DHCP assignment, whatever that means.
And then A8.
And then A8 is this one you figure is something to do with like more web design than proper networking, but it's just labeled color picker.
Oh. I am interested in picking colors for a Rubik's Cube.
Okay, so we can look at A8. Like USB 987 had A8.
Oh, that's interesting.
We can just look at it.
I didn't think
right?
of that.
Maybe we just look at what can we read someone's assignment A8 on the USB 987?
You go to flash drive 987. You click on assignment A8 from that flash drive from 987, and it opens whatever the school's IDE that they use, Visual Studio or Atom or whatever, and it runs an executable program, the user interface of which appears as a like a default palette of sorts with like the eyedropper tool and a submit button. And then there's a text box that also has its own submit button.
That is the image that we are seeing in front of us.
And I don't know what to do about it.
Oh,
we can submit
this
a color
is so
or we
much stuff.
put in a hex code for a color. Okay, that's assignment A8. There's so many other assignments we could look at.
Yes.
Do we open all the assignments and just look at what they are?
Finding IPs could be interesting.
Let's look at 006.
I'm going to make a little bit of a logical leap here. You plug in 006's flash drive. A5 appears to be a text document that this person has just downloaded from the professor's website and not made any changes to, just like here is what you will be turning in, basically. They've not changed the prompt. They haven't done the assignment. However, this is a flash drive that also has A3 on it.
It did?
You double click A3 to run it, and it's much like the color picker where it brings up an executable thingamajig, just a little command prompt box. You are given a list of IP addresses. The first of which is 122.58.5.995.
That looks real. Enough.
The second of which is 162.96.0.170. And the third of which is 179.22.294.8.
Okay, those are some IP addresses on the 006's A3.
Which suggests that they're a networking person.
It does. If 987, where we checked the A8, that gave us the color picker image, also had an assignment A3.
Mm-hmm.
Are those the same IP addresses or something completely different?
So if you open A3 on 987, this one opens you directly to the code editor that this program was supposed to have been written in, and it's just filled with to do. This is the template that the professor distributed. They still have not finished their assignment.
All right.
Interesting.
Okay, let's just go through everything because I'm very, very confused. So let's go to 970 and just see what happens. And just collect data. 970 has an A3 and an A2. Can I look at A2?
You open A2, and it's much the same as the A3 from the other one. There are a lot of to-dos. You didn't take this class, so whatever is being asked of the person in the assignment is slightly above your pay grade.
Great.
Okay.
And what's their A3?
Their A3 is also incomplete.
Okay.
Okay, so they have 2 to-dos. Okay. 966.
A5. This person has researched and written just a brief summary report of what DHCP means, what it does, as far as you can tell by skimming.
Oh.
Okay, so 966A5 has DHCP.
And it had a bit of stuff. Is it clear? Does this make it clear to us at all what DHCP
Yeah, what
is?
what does this mean?
Or
What
is it
this?
still just a mystery?
That information is irrelevant to the room.
Yeah.
But
Then don't. Then that's fine.
Okay.
I've got enough numbers in my head.
I will Google
if
it.
I add more, I'm going to get confused.
I will Google it later.
Okay. So we've checked 987. We've checked 006. We've checked 970 and 00 and 966. The last one is 010 is all that's left to check, I think, right?
It only has A3. You open this, it runs another program. It looks like someone maybe tried to, just from the way you're looking at it with no context, it looks like someone made an Easter-themed Sudoku puzzle with a single column of 4 squares. So a column of 4 squares intersected with a row of 3 squares. You will see another image that I've plopped. Each of those squares is then divided into 9 squares each. There is a submit button with this, though.
I see.
Okay.
That's a cube. This is a net that looks like if you folded it up, it could make a Rubik's Cube.
Can we do anything with this? Can we set it to anything?
Tell me exactly how you intend to interact with this program.
All right. Here's what I would like to do. Let's just see if this makes any sense. I'm going to grab the initial Rubik's Cube, first of all.
Uh-huh.
Then I'm going to go to my color picker to pick the appropriate colors as they appear on the Rubik's Cube, and then see if I can make that interact with this and drop those colors into the squares that match and map out the Rubik's Cube as was present on the guy's desk and then submit it.
That sounds like a reasonable course of action.
I'm doing it.
You open back up A8, and I'm going to make an assumption for you. You color pick red, and you find the hex code for red, which is F00, orange is F90, yellow is FF0, green is 0F0, blue is 00F or OOF, and white is FFF.
And then I can type those into the Sudoku cube.
Yep. So those little boxes that look like the Sudoku cells are in fact text entry boxes.
Right.
Thus the name of the assignment. You click submit, and after it does its processing, because whoever this is, they're not a master. It's not going to be super optimized. It spits you out a series of turns, and I guess there's not a pair word for turns like bits and bobs would have, but turns and rotations and orientations that allows you to then solve a Rubik's Cube.
We have the algorithm.
How about that?
We solve the cube.
Okay.
We've done it. The cube has been solved. Okay. We physically, with our hands, input that series of turns and twists and turns, and we end up with a finished Rubik's Cube.
Solve away at the cube until you've got all the faces the same color, and it opens in such a way that you are now given another small key.
Okay, we have another small key.
Wait.
We have not found a small
What
lock.
else was locked?
But there is one thing that we never checked out in the room.
Oh, you're not going to put this earlier?
No. We got so many computers and so many things and so many USBs, and we were trying to solve all our USBs. We never checked out the one final thing in the computer room, which was a poster, right?
Correct, yes.
We should probably look at that poster.
Let's have a look at the poster on the south wall of the right room, and maybe it'll have everything we need, or in this case, a keyhole. Somehow.
This is your final image for the room, plopped into the chat there. And exactly as the description says, it is biographical information about Hello Kitty.
For people at home, you can have a look. This is a Hello Kitty poster. It says, real name, Kitty.
Sure.
Birthday?
November 1, 1974.
Birthplace?
London, England.
Weight?
The same as 3 apples. I feel like I've heard that before.
No, you're thinking of Smurfs being 3 apples high.
Okay.
Likes?
Small cute things. Candy, stars, goldfish, etc.
Siblings?
Twin sister Mimi.
Why?
It has a yellow bow. There's a picture of her.
Kitty, you're not a key, and I don't like you for not being a key. Is there anything behind this poster?
This poster is attached firmly to a concrete wall.
Okay, Dani, we have a new key.
That's
I don't know
so
what to do
weird.
with
It's
it.
not
Is
common
anything
to have a
else
key,
locked?
but not a lock. Oh, yeah, what have we...
Is there anything else
I have
that's locked?
no idea. This is baffling to me.
The Rubik's Cube got us a key. Okay, hold on. Well, okay, and why do we care about Hello Kitty?
Do we need to worry about these strawberry ladybugs?
There are a couple of ladybugs with a couple of dots on them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about what this poster's for.
Staring at it, trying to find things.
What else could we be doing right now? We still have that code from the whiteboard that we never use, the initial code of all the symbols.
We have all of those symbols. We've still got the term bisectors. We've still got the schedule.
Oh yeah,
Take
haven't
time
touched
to
the schedule yet.
reflect. Haven't done, and one of those is related potentially to the clock because there are times.
Sure.
And also any of the Doctor Who related bits and pieces.
Yeah, there is a Doctor Who poster.
These posters, they're getting us.
Did we ever do anything with the old computer? We never did. That old computer with the
That's
keyboard and
true.
mouse did nothing with it. Because it's sort of just like, it's a computer. Like,
It is not connected to the network.
not
but
connected to
it
the
is.
network and has
Question
stuff
mark.
on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what stuff to look for.
No.
So it's just sort of sitting there. We've got the Mac connected to a network. Haven't done anything with that. But again, it's because I don't really know what I would want to be doing. And then we have those USBs where we went through and found a bunch of assignments. Like one of them has has 3 IP addresses on it.
That's true. We do.
We
know
can
there's
also
3 long IP
possibly do
addresses.
them to figure out who did their things and who didn't. Right? Like whoever 987 is, did their color picker image, but nothing else. Even though they have A3, their A3 was to do, which means they could be having to do A5 and A3.
Possibly. Don't even know how much we need to.
We don't even know if that matters, so
Yeah.
there's no point figuring it out right now.
Yeah. We learned about modulus operations.
Well, yeah, we know what that function does,
but I
we don't know what to
what
modulus.
to do it to.
We know...
I hope it's not to do with the IPs because those numbers are big.
to give you a gentle piece of guidance, you have solved the connection between figuring out who has which assignment and what each assignment does.
Mhm.
If my memory serves, I think that the old PC is it's part of a fossil puzzle that has changed in redesigns, and its
Okay.
inclusion is merely set dressing to go alongside the old Mac.
Okay.
Okay.
So you are correct. You have a number of IP addresses. You have a clock, and you have a Doctor Who poster. Are sort of your final three things to rack your minds over.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
What do we do with IP addresses? They exist.
This is my problem. I am not particularly computery, knowing to do something with IP addresses as opposed to something that just exists.
Yeah.
Is not something I'm particularly good at.
The clock is set to 1010 for geometry. There are also two pre-calculus classes, one at 9:05 and 10:50. The clock is not set to those times.
Sure.
And it also says, take time to reflect on your coursework each day, because there are also days as well as reflection associated with these things. But I don't know what I want to get out of it.
It wasn't working, so is it just meant to be drawing our attention to the 1010 class and not paying attention to the others?
But then we know that it's either Tuesday or Thursday.
You're going with reflecting and saying that 1010 reflected as 1010. Assume the direction of reflection.
That's true. 1010 could be 8:20. Does 8:20 help any more than 1010?
Not at this point, I
No.
don't think.
I'm going to draw out these clocks. 1010 can either flip to be 1010, or it could flip to be 8:40. 9:05 could either flip to be 5 to 3, or it could be 9:25. And 10:50 could either flip to be 10 past 2 or 8:40. None of the, but these are all just a number
We
could be
are
another
getting
number.
numbers.
It's okay.
Yeah.
A number could be a different number if I flipped it, but I don't know what I would get out of that.
You are thinking about the correct thing, but you are going to the effect instead of the cause. So you've made the correct connections between the angle bisector and the reflection time and the fact that 1010 is 1010. But there's one other there's a backwards way to connect that. How is 1010 also 1010? Because that's what you said. That was the first thing that you said.
Well, my thought was 1010 is 1010 because it's I've got a clock and one is pointing up and left and the other's pointing up and right. And if I flip them along a vertical plane, so if I flip them left,
Just
right,
mirror,
start
you put
mirrored
that in a
them,
mirror.
they would flip to be still the same angle. So the
correct
one hand would still be pointing at 2, one hand would still be pointing at 10, which would still be sort of 10 past 10.
So what is necessary to make that observation? If you physically had a mirror, where would you put it to make that observation true?
In the center of the clock, I suppose.
So you'd be bisecting it, you mean?
I guess. If I bisect it, I'm sort of pointing at 12? Am I just finding out what the angle bisector for each of these things is?
Maybe.
And pointing them at 12? I would say that can't be true. Because how would you do anything for 1050? 1050 is two hands.
That's true. They'd be pointing almost the same point.
It's one is almost pointing at 11 and the other is pointing right at 10. And then the bisected thing that you're pointing to is 10.4 something.
That would be challenging.
There's only one. So I had to, and I can talk about this more in the after episode. You don't have to worry about the pre-calculus classes. The fact that 1010 was on the board and 1010 was on the clock, that's on purpose.
That's what I was saying
sure.
earlier.
The angle bisector, you have correctly identified that is the thing to key in on. So basically what I'm asking is, how do you make the angle bisector for 1010 out of another time?
Oh. Just midday.
Just 12? Set it to completely midday?
Well, Okay, I guess that would technically work, but I'm thinking of setting both hands in such that they are one continuous line.
Oh, okay. So more like 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock is, yes.
I see. Okay. All right. So is that something, is it still messing around with the clock the idea? Do you want to set it to 6 o'clock?
Yeah, so you set that clock to 6 o'clock and discover the reason that it wasn't ticking away before. The battery was in it. It was set and operational in some way. Some delinquent student has crammed a note into between the hands and the face. And you dislodge the note. The note appears to have been passed maybe from one student to another, and it reads as follows. I don't understand why this professor has their own, I don't know, order of operations. I can never remember what the symbols stand for. I know it's something about how you can say the symbols another way, but or you know what they do, but that doesn't help me much. It interferes too much with the order of operations I already knew.
So there are other ways to say these orders of operations and these operations that we've got here.
So this will be what's on the whiteboard. Multiply, add, modulus. Sorry, no, this is going to be TARDIS.
What?
Maybe.
Tell me more. Like
multiply is times.
Add.
Plus is add.
Remainder.
Remainder is modulus.
Divide. I. Subtract.
And subtract.
Oh
so
my
TARDIS
god.
is order of operations.
Okay.
But what does that mean for us? Okay, that's going to match to the TARDIS poster.
So, making another logical leap. Now you come back to the TARDIS poster with fresh eyes and a small key and the knowledge that this is somehow important enough to this professor to construct their own order of operations around such.
Can we use the key on the TARDIS?
Yeah, can we feel it?
It's you look closer and they've kind of put the poster up around a spot in the wall.
That's wild.
Like Shawshank Redemption style.
Okay.
And you can unlock this as a small locker embedded in the wall.
All right,
gotcha.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I got my key. Let's open the TARDIS.
You unlock the little door, and inside is the manual for the security system with a sticky note acting as a bookmark on a particular page.
Please, let's look at that page.
The page is the one that's all about disengaging and re-engaging the lock system.
Fantastic.
It says that to unlock the system, all you got to do is you enter the passcode, but that if you want the system to relock behind you, you have to hold the lock button, or you have to hold the enter button rather, for 3 seconds to reset it so that it'll relock behind you. The post-it note holding the page is a note to self about the security passcode, and it says security passcode equals HKWT.
HKWT. Have we seen that somewhere? Surely.
Hello Kitty.
Oh.
Wait. Maybe. 3 apples.
Okay. How much is an apple?
Wait. When we put in the code on the door, does it have letters and numbers? Can we put in 3 apples?
No.
Oh,
we've got an Apple computer.
Oh, we have an Apple computer.
I don't know what to do with it, but we've got it. How much does it weigh?
It weighs the same as 3 Apple IPs. So it weighs 12258599516296017017982222948. That's how much they weigh.
A lot of stuff.
You are like 90% of the way to the correct answer on that.
That's ridiculous.
It's the same.
Did we actually establish that was the IP of
No, we still don't know what these IP addresses are.
Okay.
They're just 3 IP addresses on a USB. And then Apple is connected to the net. Can we go?
They might all wait. If it's all one network, might all 3 of those be apples?
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
They're all different. We've got to add those 3 together.
True. Do we add them up to make one? That's just what we think. That's why I read them all out in order. I was adding them together. 3 apples.
Sorry. You went so fast that the numbers blurred on me.
I was doing all 3 IPs.
But one after the
besides
other.
the one that is the translucent Mac, the rest are all Windows computers of some sort.
Okay, so those IPs might not all be Apple related.
Why is the computer there? What does it do? It sits
been
there. It's
using
connected
it,
to the network. We
But
haven't.
the laptop has been used more.
Yeah, we haven't really used the Apple for anything. It's just been there the whole time.
I have
So the
definitely
question is,
forgotten
why is
which
it there?
computers we used for what.
Yeah, we haven't attached anything to it. We haven't done anything. All we did was we opened it up and it was alive and it was on a network, and that's all we know. I've got no other notes about the Apple computer.
How many computers have you used?
That's a good question. I have definitely lost track.
I think we've used 3 different computers. We've used the laptop for a lot. We used we used the 90s PC, but it doesn't really do anything. We used the
That was
Apple
not on
PC.
the LAN.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we used whatever computer we used on the 2x2 grid. I don't know what we did with it, but it was maybe one of the ones we put USBs into. I can't remember.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I have, is that you used 3 computers that were actually network connected.
Interesting.
Sure.
And we've been given 3 IP addresses.
Can we turn the Mac off and see which number goes off?
Yeah, so you go over to the Mac, you turn it off, and you rerun A3 from 006,
Great.
and it returns only 2 IP addresses this time.
Mm-hmm.
It was IP address number 2 and number 3 that you found before, so the 162 and the 179.
Okay.
I have fully misinterpreted what that thing was. I thought it was a text document in which a person had written down 3 IP addresses.
No.
And I was like, how is this ever going to help us? This is literally a list that someone made of 3 IP addresses.
No,
Oh.
these were
So I
programming
was like, what can we
things.
possibly do? What can we figure out? Okay, we turn off we just leave just the Apple on. Oh no,
Well-
although we need this to check stuff, right?
Yeah, and we now know which one the Apple is. It must be the 122.
Oh, because that's the only one I see. Great.
Yeah.
So the Apple one, okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, I thought I just had a list of 3 IP addresses, and I was trying to figure out how can we ever find out IP addresses. Like, for all I knew, these were about 3 computers unrelated to anything nearby that someone had made I thought it was a very strange assignment to be given.
All right.
Okay.
So,
now we know the Apple IP address. It is 122. And we know that the weight is 3 apples.
yeah.
Do we multiply this
multiply
whole
by
thing by 3, or do we put it in 3 times into the door?
That would be a very long passcode.
Yeah,
It
your
would.
intuition tells you that it's the former.
Okay. So what is this multiplied by 3? 122.58.
Yeah, I also don't know how the points work in IP addresses. Should I ignore them?
All of the computers in this room would have a default calculator app that you could use to just plug that in as a number
Yeah. Well, let's
without the points.
Okay.
do it without the points. Do you want to do it, Dani?
I am doing it.
I'm going to do it on my phone.
Okay, but I'm done. So,
All right. Well, then what is it?
well, I mean, no, you should do it to confirm my answer.
No, I'll do it on
There's
my
also a
phone.
calculator sitting right next to you.
Oh, okay. I'll use this calculator sitting right next to
I
me.
do maths in this room.
122,585,995 times 3. Dani, what's your answer?
367757985.
That is correct. Can we put that into the door code to leave?
For sure, yeah. You go back to that exit door and you enter 367-757-985 and you hear it click. You think back to having read that page about the thingamajig.
I hold the thingy for 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You hold the thingy for 3 seconds, and with that code, you make it out the door. You wait a moment briefly to listen for the security system to re-engage behind you, and once you have heard that, you know that you're safe, you hightail it back to wherever you parked and head home for the break.
The lasers
Well
are back
done.
on. And I
lasers are back
turn
on.
to Timmy and tell him, wow, you really were no help.
But you're a good dog. Oh, you're a good boy, Timmy. Thank you for listening to Escape This Podcast. Don't forget to tune in next week for Podcast This Escape, where we debrief with our guest and discuss the escape room that we just escaped from.